Let's be real with each other. Marvel used to be about heroes saving the day. Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man. You came for the action, the villains, the arcs that made you cheer. But now?
All right, where am I?
Don't scare me like that, colonizer.
More and more, it feels like Marvel is just playing inclusion bingo. Check this box, add that identity, toss in some cultural message.
A black Captain America, huh?
Damn right.
And somewhere along the way, the actual superhero story gets shoved aside.
He ain't a Falcon anymore, but he's still black.
Are you still going forward with resetting the borders? You have to stop calling them terrorists. Your peacekeeping troops carrying weapons are forcing millions of people into settlements around the world, right? What do you think those people are going to call you? These labels, terrorist, refugee, thug, they're often used to get around the question why. I'm a black man carrying the stars and stripes. I know there are millions of people out there who are going to hate me for it.
Nowhere is that clearer than in Ms. Marvel. On paper, it should have been a hit. Kamala Khan in the comics is fun, quirky, light-hearted. Her powers are weird and unique, and she idolizes the Avengers. But the Disney Plus show? It turned into a history lecture. Instead of leaning into her superhero journey, it spent more time blaming the British Empire for partition than building Kamala's own story. Episode 5, Time and Again, drops Kamala into 1947. Yes, it looks dramatic, crowded trains, families fleeing, chaos everywhere. But notice how the framing works. Britain is painted as the ultimate villain. The Empire drew the borders, the Empire caused the mess, the Empire walked away. Simple, convenient, safe. But history's not that simple. Under the Raj, Britain didn't just exploit India. They also built the railroads, the ports, the telegraph lines, and the legal systems that India and Pakistan still use today. They created universities, spread a common language, and brought a kind of stability to hundreds of divided states. Was it perfect? Of course not. Did exploitation happen? Of course. But pretending it was all bad is dishonest. The Raj left behind scars, yes, but also scaffolding that helped modernization. And here's the other thing the show leaves out. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan. The man who pushed for a separate Muslim homeland because he believed Hindus and Muslims couldn't coexist in one nation. Without Jinnah, there wouldn't even be a Pakistan. But in Ms. Marvel, you get a quick glimpse of him in a newsreel. No name, no context. Why? Because naming him means admitting partition wasn't just Britain's fault. It was also about political choices inside India and about Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs turning on each other. 15 million displaced, hundreds of thousands murdered, entire trains of refugees arriving full of corpses. That wasn't just the Empire. That was neighbors butchering neighbors. And it's not just here. Have you noticed how often Marvel makes the British man the villain? How every global problem somehow gets pinned on European colonialism? Never mind that history is way more complicated than that. For example, in the Atlantic slave trade, Africans themselves captured and sold other Africans in exchange for things like gunpowder and weapons. But you'll never hear that nuance in Hollywood.
I'm a black man carrying the stars and stripes.
They prefer the simple narrative. All the world's evil comes from the West. It's the same template Ms. Marvel uses for partition. So why ignore the messy parts? Because it's easier. Easier to tell a morality play. Easier to make Britain the one big villain. Easier to check the representation than wrestle with the full truth. And that's why fans tuned out. Not just because of weak villains or pacing problems.
Y'all sitting up here comfortable. Must feel good. It's about 2 billion people all over the world that looks like us. But their lives are a lot harder.
But because Ms. Marvel stopped being a hero story and started being a sermon. They changed Kamala's powers, pushed the villains into the background, and shoved a history lesson into a 6-episode origin arc. People came for superheroes. What they got felt like cultural homework. And it's not just Ms. Marvel. Look at the pattern. Daredevil's Catholic faith? Downplayed. Captain America's Christian values? Barely acknowledged. Hollywood doesn't want to preach if it's Christianity or Western heritage. But when it comes to Ms. Marvel, Muslim faith and culture are front and center, celebrated, pushed. That imbalance doesn't go unnoticed. And yeah, Even Black Panther, as good as it was in parts, couldn't resist being preachy.
How do you think your ancestors got these? You think they paid a fair price? Or did they take it like they took everything else?
Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Remember when the one white character walks in and gets rudely called colonizer out of nowhere?
All right, where am I?
Don't scare me like that, colonizer.
That wasn't clever. That was just hostility dressed up as humor. Marvel plays up inclusivity, but somehow it's always fine to take shots at Westerners while preaching tolerance for everyone else. That's the hypocrisy fans are pointing at. And the recent slate? Eternals felt less like a coherent story and more like Marvel filling out a diversity checklist. You had a gay couple, the first deaf superhero, multiple ethnic groups represented, gender-swapped characters, and even a child Eternal. All in one movie. Nothing wrong with any of that on its own, but instead of giving these characters depth, the film leaned on their identity traits as if that alone was enough to make them interesting. It came off like Marvel cared more about representation headlines than telling a tight, engaging story. She-Hulk was another example. Instead of focusing on Jen Walters' actual growth as a superhero and lawyer, entire episodes felt designed to clap back at critics online.
Took the Hulk's manhood away, but then they gave it to a woman?
Yeah, man, I don't get it. Why are you doing everything? More female superheroes.
So we have a Me Too movement, and now all the male heroes.
I have no problem with female heroes. I'm just saying, make your own.
I don't know about y'all, but I'd smash.
The show went out of its way to include a sexist troll subplot, had a She-Hulk twerks with Megan Thee Stallion scene.
You almost tasted that. Num 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 num, eat it up. Go play okay, 3, 2, 1. You know I'm the hottest. You ain't never gotta heat me up.
Oh, you are way more fun than my last lawyer. I will kill for you, Megan Thee Stallion.
And even ended with Jen literally breaking the fourth wall to lecture Marvel itself about toxic fans. That kind of writing turns the show into a conversation with Twitter rather than a superhero arc with stakes and payoff. Fans don't reject diversity. Audiences have cheered for Blade, Black Panther, Miles Morales, and countless others. What they reject is when identity politics and meta-commentary take center stage, while the action, heroism, and character arcs get treated like afterthoughts. Ms. Marvel had the potential to be that balance. Instead, it played safe, played selective, and played straight to the inclusion bingo board. And the result? Fans walked away saying, "This isn't about superheroes anymore. It's about lecturing me on culture." And it's no wonder The Marvels was a massive box office flop that lost millions. Disney's insistence on preaching has caused their own downfall. It's not action hero fatigue killing Marvel. It's Disney's political pondering that has people exhausted. And until Marvel gets back to making heroes the focus, not box-ticking exercises, the cape is going to keep getting buried under the sermon.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Big pile of shit.
I feel like I'm being crushed from the inside out.